Camp Hebrew Public. This is a reminder that you are part of Hebrew Public summer workshops. We have one workshop every week for 30 minutes, and we are trying to give you some experiences that hopefully your kids and parents will find exciting. As you know, Hebrew Public is a national network of Hebrew charter schools. We have schools in Brooklyn, in Harlem, East Brunswick, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, and Minneapolis, and we know that, and San Diego, and we hope that many of you are on the line. So today, I'm super excited to introduce you to Benny Levin, who is not only the best tour guide that you can find in Israel, he is also the provider of our Israel trip, and we hope that once your kids are in 8th grade, many of them will join and go with us to Israel. And until then, here is Benny and a virtual tour and a tiny taste of what Jerusalem is like. Benny, the floor is yours.
Shalom everyone, welcome to Yerushalayim. Bruchim habaim leYerushalayim. So behind me is, of course, the most famous building in Jerusalem. But before that, I want actually to share with you some small thing that I did this week. So I'm actually, my name is Benny Levin, and I'm a tour guide, and I'm an owner of a small company that's doing tours to Israel. But I also represent Israel in a very cool sport called paragliding. And right here, you can see that for the first time this week, I went with my little daughter, 3.5 years old, flying over the coast of Israel. And we actually planning to fly from the northest point to the southwest point in Israel. So from Mount Hermon to Eilat. But today, we actually going to do something different. We are going to travel to Jerusalem. So I chose an airport for us, and I hope you're okay with that. So let's start with this airport. Let's see who can recognize it. If you look here, we are in New York City. And look at this. Are you ready? Let's take off. Everybody have their tickets. Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, but I prefer Jerusalem. That's the only way to fly into the city because the only airport is actually in Tel Aviv. Ready? Go! And woo! All the way from the States to Israel and the holiest place, to 3 monotheistic religions. So behind me, there are 2 mosques. One is the Golden Dome, the most famous building in Jerusalem, but underneath it is actually a mosque. This mosque called the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the holiest place for the Muslims. The second religion that this city is holy for is Christianity. And right here, we are in a very magical moment. Inside actually took place about 2 months ago during Passover or Pascha, the Greek Orthodox Pascha, when the lights are turning on. I'm actually going to show you some footage from this place, but that's called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the holiest place for more than 1.2 billion people. And the last one is the Western Wall, the holiest place for the Jewish people. That's how it's looked like on paintings, and that's how it's looked like today. But I'm always asking myself how this whole thing started and why 3 monotheistic religions are actually looking up to one city that is really in the middle of the desert. Why? So there were a really interesting guy that when he was 14, he actually took a baseball bat. And here we have, I cured a photo of him that is a little bit from a later event that connected to Jerusalem. But when he was 14 years old, pretty much in the 9th grade, he took a baseball bat. I don't know if it's exactly a baseball bat, but he took a stick and he went into his father's store for idols, and he put in his earphones and he dun 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 bah bah, and he broke them all. And when his father came back to the store and he saw all the idols are broken and one big idol standing complete with a stick in his hand, he asked him, what happened? And Abraham, this boy's name was Abraham, saying, you can't believe that. Something terrible happened. Somebody came and brought a present to a small god in your store, a little idol. And the big idol was so pissed off, he took a stick and he killed all the other idols. His dad looked at him and says, son, those are statues. He says, I told you, Dad, I told you. And from that moment, he was the person or the child that really changed the way people look on something that we all, it depends on the way we're looking on the world, called God. The perspective of one God, no matter what's the name for that God and what religion you belong to, that started from a 14 years old boy that right here is really connecting us to Jerusalem. And that's why Jerusalem is connected to all the religions that believe in one God: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. He going up to the mountain with his son, as you can see, and he is supposed to sacrifice one of his sons by the name Isaac, and an angel is stopping him at the last moment. And from that moment, that's actually happened on top of the mountain, where today we have the Golden Dome, called the Dome of the Rock, the same rock where Abraham wanted to sacrifice his son and was stopped. But who actually put the city on the map? Who put the city on the map? Is another boy. And this is a big soldier by the name of Goliath. All, of course, coming from the stories in the Bible. And whoop, right here, we see this little boy, probably in this case, 16, 17, with red hair, curly, walking down to visit his two big brothers that are fighting in the war. And in the last moment, arriving and seeing this huge soldier by the name of Goliath, and he is so pissed. Now, I don't know how many of you know red hair people, but gingy, what we call in Hebrew, or ginger. I have a brother. They are the best, wow. They are the most loving people, but you don't want to end on their bad side, because they have a vein right here that comes out and start to do ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. And that's what happened here. Goliath is like, hey, do you think I'm a dog? You coming to me with a stick and a stone? That's the weapons that David chose. And he probably was like, yes, yes, yes. Woo-hoo, doggy, doggy, doggy. Woo, woo, woo. Goliath is like, lifting up his sword. Huge sword, maybe like 6 feet. And he coming to kill David with his sword. But David's like, oh, you're so slow. And then he see this sword. And Goliath is like, and like this until the battle is ending and David becoming a king from this small event that he's stepping up and willing to fight the big and strong guy for everybody's will. And then that's happening, let's say, 3,000 years ago. Okay, we talked about Abraham, that's happening 3,500 years ago. But then if we jump back to this picture again, It's weird. But many houses, and then suddenly, like a plaza. And the plaza was built by a really special person that decided that the mountain is too small to build a building on top of it because he wanted to build a temple for the Jewish people. And this temple is supposed to be the most beautiful temple, even more beautiful than the Colosseum. Because what the Romans telling us is that if you didn't saw the temple of King Herod, you never saw a beautiful building in your whole life. But let's look on the topography. Let me move aside and understand why the Dome of the Rock that is actually sitting here called the Dome of the Rock. So let's try to understand. Everybody can see right here this little mountain.
Benny,
Yes?
who are you talking to?
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody's interrupting me, but he looks important, so I really have to answer him. Listen, I think it's His Majesty. I don't know who he is, but I have to talk to you later. Don't go inside. Don't go inside. I can't believe it. That's my plans. Benny? Nice to meet you. I'm King Herod, but I think you're trying to steal my architecture plans. Oh my God. Look at this. Are you stealing my work? I can't believe it. Nice to
What
meet
other
you.
things did you build?
Listen, I'm King Herod the Great. You know why? Because I built 22 buildings all around Israel or Judea. It was called at that time. And you know why? Because all the kings that were ruling under the Romans, they collect taxes. Let me sit a little bit more comfortable. I have to sit. Oh, look at my throne. Ha! I love it when important people coming to visit me. What can I tell you? So the Romans said to me, because I took over Judea, where Jerusalem is, for them, they said, you know what? Usually every king that we rule on collect the taxes, the money, and pay us 50%, and keeps for himself to rule 50%. But you, King Herod, and I was so happy about it, you, King Herod, don't need to pay us 50% because you helped us. The problem is they didn't know that I'm going to rule for 33 years. So I built Jerusalem. You know what? I saw the picture. Look at that. You know this temple? The temple, the gold on top of the temple was weighing like 13 hammers. I heard you have like a chariot called a hammer. So in these days, so 13 of them together, I put it on top of the roof just to decorate it. So people will write, if you didn't saw Herod's building, you didn't saw a beautiful building in your whole life. I also built Masada. It's my personal fortress in the middle of the desert. And I never give up on like good things like that house or a swimming pool. And one more thing I built, especially for the Romans, is a city called Caesarea. And this city called Caesarea, what can I tell you? It's so beautiful. It was 120,000 people city. But you know what? We're not going to talk about those places. I want to show off a little bit about what I did. Look at this. So first of all, every stone that I put in that wall, the smallest one, look at the size. Okay? The smallest one was 1.5 tons. This is a small one. The biggest one, look at this. The biggest one was in a size a little bit more, like one and a little bit more of a yellow school bus in any dimension, up, wide, and long, 30 feet long. Look at this. This is one stone, 500 tons. I heard you in your modern life. Benny, are they following me? I'm telling you, I'm a little bit losing it. I think you're following me and want to steal my personal work, but you need to know that no way, even today, you can lift up this stone. This is 560 tons. The biggest crane in the world can pick up 350. I need to go to the temple. I'll see you later. Benny, just take them anywhere and just don't follow me and don't steal my work because I will find you. Thank you for coming. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. But, you know, His Majesty, I can't really do anything about it. He's a very important person. And you need to know that usually if he don't like you, it's not like today you get a punishment. This guy is actually, you know, you become shorter by a head, and I love my head, so that's something that we really can't change. Oh God, but I have to say I'm so sorry. So now, I actually want to see where you want to go next. Because now, when we finished with the temple right here, I want to ask you where you want to go next. Option 1 is Temple Mount. So please vote. Temple Mount is the top of this mountain today with the golden dome. The second option is actually the old city walls. The old city of today, I mean, you know, the one that is actually surrounding the city and have 8 gates. So let's give it like, I don't know, 30 seconds. And please, 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 in the meantime, I will look in the chat. If anyone is asking any questions, you're welcome to ask. What does it look like inside of Jerusalem? I'm going to show you in a second. So we're going to start with the next spot. And are we having anyone that is voting? This is very, very important. But I will show you, for example, one little picture from inside of Jerusalem. And this is what I wanted to show you. Is a souvenir store in the old city, or some pilgrims that are walking in and coming from the Ethiopian church and walking up to the holiest place for the Christians. So let's end up our vote and see where should I take you next. And oh, I'm so excited. I don't know. I don't see the votes. So I'm excited by myself. Can you publish it so we all can see where I need to take you next? Okay, old city walls. This is great. So, oh my God, it was pretty close. So let's go to the old city walls. Are you ready? So actually about 2 years ago, we went on the old city walls together with the school, the 8th graders. So one of the things that you can see right here on the old city walls, the walls were built by a sultan. His name was Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, okay? Why he was called the Magnificent? Because he built this wall. But I want you to see one little thing. You see this railing? Look, even with the railing, the kids from the school are walking near the wall. They don't touch the railing because it's tall. How tall it is? Like this, okay? So that's how big it is. It's big. It's like 45 feet. So you don't want to be, you know, walking close to the edge. So even with the railing, but the railing is new. And you know why it's new? Because during the time of Sultan Suleiman, the soldiers that wanted to protect the city needed to be careful. if you are not careful, you cannot be a soldier and protect my city. And one of the funnest things about walking on the old city walls is really to take a little peek on the new city of Jerusalem through the little firing holes. And look at this firing hole. You know, this building is a very famous hotel, 5-star hotel that maybe and hopefully one day we will do the tour for the school and we will stay there. Who knows? Maybe. But that's really, really cool. So that's the old city walls. The old city today, by the way, is not the old city many, many years ago, because the old city of today is actually very, very, comparatively, very, very new. And what I wanted to actually show you is another two really cool locations before we're gonna open it for some questions. So I showed you the holiest place on top of the mountain, but let's try to understand what are the other two holy places that we have. So for Christianity, as you saw before, we saw that people are walking with a cross. That's Jerusalem is a city where Jesus was living. His last week of his life was there. And I want to take you with those people from different churches, Ethiopian churches, Greek Orthodox churches, just kids that joining, you know, and carrying the crosses. Of course, this is only a small cross, through all the souvenir works, but arriving to the church. Okay, so this is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. That's the entrance to it right here. And if you are very careful and you're going to see and look right here, can you see that? What do you see? What do you see? This is a ladder. Okay. So I'm like, wait, a ladder here, it's a closed window. Wait, let's see. Let's zoom out. Yes, closed window to nowhere, to nowhere. Why would I have a ladder there? Then somebody told me that this ladder is there for years. So I decided that I will look in the different archives, and I found a painting from 1876. Okay? It's completely different. Okay, so let's see the picture. Okay? You can see the tower. The tower was much lower then, but look right here. It's a ladder. But painting, everybody can do a painting. So I said, let me find the oldest picture. So 1916, a picture. So we have a ladder that's standing there for more than 100 years. Look that the window is actually open. And I found a painting from 200 years ago, and there was no, as you can see, no ladder. So that's very interesting, right? So what's the ladder for? Anybody want to guess? This is the question I'm going to keep open. And if somebody answer it right, we'll find a way to send you something cool from the Holy Land. So let's see if you can answer it right. What was the ladder for? God, today we have Google that can maybe help you with that. And the last thing I really, really wanted to show you is really take you to the Muslim holiest place. Again, you know, it's Jerusalem. I got half an hour, and you can be here for 3 days. That's what we usually do. So I promised you to see the two locations, right? The two domes. One is the Golden Dome, the most beautiful one. And the second one is the Gray Dome, okay? So I want to actually do something and show it to you. So we will jump to this beautiful dome from one direction. Okay, so we can see the Western Wall, the holiest place for the Jews. we can see the gray dome right here. That's the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay, we will explain in a second what's the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And this one is the Golden Dome. It was not always golden. It's actually when the Muslim community in Jerusalem get a little bit of donations, they turned it to be golden. But let's see how beautiful it is from the top. So if you come closer, you can see that there is all on top writing from the Quran. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pieces of ceramic that was hand painted. And on top is actually metal that was covered with gold. And that's the dome of the rock. Which rock? Let me remind you. Hop. If you look on the dome, here's this rock. Remember the foundation that King Herod built? Those walls? And he filled them up in order to build the temple? This is exactly what we see right now. It's the same foundation. And this rock is actually standing right here. And the Dome of the Rock is telling one story in the Quran when Muhammad is falling asleep in Mecca and he's riding this magical animal called the El Burak. He is riding it to El Aqsa, to the edge of his land. He is putting it right here on the wall, walking up to the top, right here to the rock, stepping on it up and ascending to heaven, coming back with a very important news to the Muslims: 5 prayers a day. So that's why Jerusalem is the 3rd holiest city for the Muslim world. And here we are finishing this beautiful tour of Jerusalem. I'm going to take some questions. I have 2 minutes.
And Benny, what I would like to do, there are some answers here, guesses about the letter. So
Okay.
if you don't mind, let me read them and maybe you'll tell us if any of those guesses are correct, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so let me see the first one that came in. Okay, so construction.
Okay.
And for a quick escape, if the door was locked, you can climb up to escape from robbers. For cleaning the windows so people could get to the balcony. Maybe there was a home behind the ladder. Balcony,
So who said
execution.
balcony? Getting to the balcony? That's very, very close answer. I can't believe it. It's like
And somebody said it is the immovable letter on the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in the old city of Jerusalem. Okay, so here's all of the responses.
So basically, and this is something I want to show you, it's really, really unique, is that people use this letter because the upper part, the inside of the church is very, very sensitive. It belongs to 6 different streams in Christianity. And right here on top, we had the Armenians, and in the bottom, the Greek Orthodox, right here where the gate is. At night, the gates are closed. And when they are closed, nobody can come inside. But there are monks that keeping each area for different sects. So the monks would usually take out, the Armenian monks take out a rock with a basket and get food to take up. Later on, they moved out of the window, okay, like we see here, came to the balcony because it's much easier to pick up from the floor right here. So, but then they cannot move it. Nobody can move it. Why? Because this balcony is actually don't belong to anyone. So it's a very political issue. If somebody will move it, then means that they are responsible on this piece of property in the church. And it's a whole different tour. What can I tell you? I also, in the invitation, right, Valerie, in the invitation, there was a link to a register to those tours that are open and they are free to register. You're welcome to sign up and you will get a lot of news. We have Jerusalem the Christian way. We have Jerusalem of the Muslim way. I have the Adventures of the Desert. There is so many really cool tours that you can join and to explore and touch and study about Israel in a really this way. So we do it kids friendly and we do it adult friendly. Some of the tours are for those, some of the tours are for those. So you're welcome to sign up, get the news, and maybe I will see some of you in one of those tours. So, but good job on the answering. That's for the balcony. It's like really, really cool answer.
Thank you, Benny, so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We are going to send another email so that you can provide your feedback on today's workshop. And we will also resend you the link so that you can register to other tours that Benny is doing. And we hope you enjoyed this one and that you will join for others. Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye.
Jerusalem and shalom.
Shalom.